المدير العام لمجلس صناعات الطاقة النظيفة. موضوع اليوم حيكون الاقتصاد الدائري ومستقبل الطاقة. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fourth day of the Arab Sustainability and Environment Week, which is co-organized by the Environmental Center for Arab Towns and the Clean Energy Business Council. My name is Bushra Barakat, and I'm the Managing Director of the Clean Energy Business Council. Today, the theme of the event will be Circular Economy and the Future of Energy. المتحدث الأول معنا اليوم هو السيد راج كومار براساد، رئيس قسم الاستدامة في الشرق الأوسط وأفريقيا في شركة BSI، وعنوان المحاضرة حيكون استراتيجيات الاقتصاد الدائري. The first speaker with us today is Mr. Raj Kumar Prasad, the Head of Sustainability in BSI, the British Standard Institute in Middle East and Africa. And the title of his presentation will be Circular Economy Strategies. Mr. Raj, thank you again for being with us. If you want to share your screen.
Yes, I will now share.
Thank you, Mr. Raj. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. And it's a matter of great pride and pleasure to be part of this platform and getting an opportunity to speak about circular economy strategies on behalf of BSI Middle East and Africa. So that's a really something great opportunity. As I mentioned that, it's a really time that we all need to come closer to have a discuss from various angles, such kind of need of the time that we have come closer. So thank you very much. I'll proceed for my various slides. But before I go to the next slides, I would like to just inform the viewers that my slides are arranged in terms of very few slides, which will talk about background and the concept about the circular economy. And then my topic, which I'll be focusing on the strategies that is based on circular economy. In fact, circular economy concept, it's not a new concept. It existed long back, in fact, and but it used to be in a different name. For example, if we go maybe 30, 40 years back, some kind of terminology came up in existence, a spaceman economy. Then further, the terminology got floated, limits to growth and a steady state economy and a performance economy, industrial ecology, cradle to cradle concept. All these concepts, they were basically more or less, they were talking about basically circularity. They were basically meaning about the circularity, how to make our living style sustainable. And but currently, what happened? This circular economy concept came into limelight, and it's basically a regenerative economic system. And normally we have a kind of a scenario that we are in the society, which obviously gives us most of a kind of a living style that we are taking, making, and disposing it. And now we need a basically shift. When we look at from the sustainability point of view, we need a shift from take, make, and dispose. What we need to make a shift is basically we need to go towards take, make, use, and regenerate. Instead of disposing, what we are trying to shift towards now is basically take, make, and use, and regenerate. So this is a kind of resource model, which is different from take, make, and dispose. And this new model is very much aligned with sustainable development. And essentially, this model, which is a circular economy model, this is helping us or aiming to redesign the production and the consumption system. So that's how I can put it as a circular economy, though there are many other definitions. But essentially, all those definitions of circular economy, they will be meaning exactly similar to this. I mean, we are talking about redesigning the production and consumption pattern within our society framework. But recently, as I mentioned, that circular economy existed in a different terminology long back, but now it has become a very recent development again, and it got a due focus and attention. And this concept renewed recently, and China was very aggressive, in fact, in terms of implementing this circular economy because of obvious reason that that they have a high population, and then of course when there is a such kind of pressure from different point of view, from environment or from resource point of view, then circular economy, as we understood that it's basically a regenerative model, a resource model, then it makes a lot of sense. So it got early adoption in China, and currently it has got a lot of attention in Europe as well, and a lot of progress is happening. But if we go into much into details, how this development and work that is towards circular economy is happening, it's largely scope documents and initiatives from government and non-governmental organizations. So if we go much more into details that how this circular economy can be embedded or can be implemented by an organization, or can be implemented at a micro level or even medium level of organizations or large level organizations, still we have a lot of questions, in fact, how to do this. And that is what some of the strategies that I'll be trying to share my thoughts on this. So if, as I mentioned, that it is a regenerative resource model, it has basically three main concept to drive the circular economy. I would say that circular economy can be driven by three pillars, and which can be understood as a design principle, and then waste as a resource principle or model, or we can call it a business model. So if you see in the center of this circle, we are talking about a retain, and then when we go out, we are now getting into different direction of refit, and then we are talking about a refurbish, and then we are talking about a reuse, and then we are talking about a remanufacture, and then we are talking about a recycle. So when we are trying to retain certain product that has been manufactured, uh, we can try to also retain by certain mechanism. The product goes to the consumer, and it can, in some manner, if we develop, it can also come back. And then the other type that we can do from the product point of view is that refitting into the product. Once it comes back, or any kind of service provision that can be rebuilt. And if not possible, it can be done to refurbish. Refurbish is another terminology where we can do certain kind of changes within the product system, and then it can become as a new product. And then we have a next one is a reuse. And after reuse, there is a remanufacturing process, because after reuse, the quality of the product, it goes to a level down where it needs remanufacturing. And it's a different concept, that manufacturing, because manufacturing is original taking from the resource. And after remanufacturing, again after various uses, when the components has lived its life probably to its fullest extent, we can look at from the concept of a recycling as well. So currently, when we are talking about, if you're talking about from the waste management point of view, where normally I'm sure all the respected members here, they must have heard about recycling, and which is basically a waste prevention. But when we are talking about circular economy, we are talking about one step ahead, that is a remanufacturing. We are talking about further one step ahead, reuse. We are talking about further one step ahead, that is refurbish, and so on to the level of refit and retain. Now, the other important pillar that I said, circular economy, is basically design principle. Now, when we are trying to do such kind of work, when retain, refit, refurbish, reuse, remanufacture, and recycle, we need to design, think of design in an innovative manner. It needs a lot of innovation. So there are ways that we can, when we are manufacturing our product, or even at any stage, refitting, refurbish, reuse, or remanufacture, we need to look at from the design perspective how they can be redesigned or designed for adaptability, or we can design to see that no waste is generated, maybe some kind of modularity, or designed for disassembly, that if we are innovative enough, and whatever that product that we are designing, we can make sure that it can be disassembled properly, and then it can go to the extent of either refurbish, reuse, or remanufacture. And then also material selection plays a very, very important role in such kind of designing out scenario. Now, apart from this, having spoken about waste as a resource and a design principle, The business model also helps us out as a third and important pillar of the circular economy, where we can actually look out for a different way of conducting business. Because normally when we have a take make use kind of concept in a business model, then it basically manufacturer gives a product to the user and that's all. But when we are talking about refit, refurbish, reuse, remanufacture, the product has to come back, and different level of refitting or refurbishing or reuse, it has a different level of interaction with society and all of us, so the entire model becomes a different. So business model also needs a revamping kind of scenario, and slowly it can happen, once we see from this. I would like to also mention a respected member here, that when we have a such kind of adoption principle of circularity, when we embed it as a resource, and it was actually existed also, and when we were doing locally sourcing naturally organic material and we were manufacturing it, it was quite sustainable. But now actually we have forgotten, because we have become now more international based and a consumer kind of society. But if you see the way the industry fourth revolution or 4.0 that is progressing from a commodity to product or to service economy, we can really see that a time is coming where it will be not a one-off sale. It will be basically continual income stream from selling the service and not the product. So we can really see that how the continuous stream is getting generated from such kind of circular economy system, where we are talking about essentially regenerative resource model. So the business is getting actually very, very positively impacted. And when we are talking about the strategies, essentially we are trying to see that how this circular economy we can implement it with a time-bound manner, and what activities or action plan that we have it. So now, as we know that circular economy is a very value-laden and very broad concept, we need to basically break it down in terms of various action items, and these action items can be defined in a time-bound manner by by many organizations or any organization of any nature, of any size, and those action items, they have to be decided in a time-bound manner, that how it is going to help us to implement a circular economy concept. And there are various approach as far as these action items are concerned. We can look at from the eco-efficiency as a purpose of the organization, that okay, we want to be eco-efficient, or we can also see that we want to be more of an economic value. So when we try to do a remanufacture, or when we are talking about refit, or when we are talking about reuse, in those kind of scenario, of course it has a more economic value in fact. And of course, when we talk about from the combining it from the business model point of view, it has a lot of job creation, in fact. And at the same time, of course, when we are trying to see that product is used with so many lives after it's gets produced and it goes back to the system, either from retaining or from rebuilding or from remanufacturing, then of course it has a lot of impact in terms of reducing the emission and of course the corresponding waste. So it has a lot of advantage. In fact, the advantage is a immense. And then of course I'm sure you must have got some indication that it has a lot of improvement in terms of resources security, because if we become truly circular, the resource becomes very, very less as a requirement, and then we become resource secured kind of, or we can say resource resilience kind of scenario that we attain through circular economy. And of course, then when we have a such kind of scenario, then decrease in price volatility and of course in the resources. Here I would like to mention to the respected members that eco-efficiency and we have a eco-effectiveness two concept. When we are talking about eco-efficiency as a purpose, then we are talking about basically minimization of cradle to grave flow of materials. While when we are talking about eco-effectiveness, which is basically a cyclical resource, a cyclical generate model, and which is a basically cradle to cradle metabolism. So whatever material that finally gets wasted through recycling process, it becomes again a resource which can go into the first production system where it was actually manufactured or originally manufactured. So the various approach that we can attain from such kind of strategies, we can make a mix of these bullet points for any organization. And we can see that what are, depending upon the nature of the organization, depending upon the activities of the organization and the business functions, uh, organization can pick up a combination of these approaches for their strategies, and they can, of course, jot it down or make an action item in a time-bound manner to attain circular economy. Uh, I wanted to take through the respected members here about the strategies. When I was talking about what are the action items that we can really look at, so that we can really make our aim of being a circular economy as a reality. So when we think about that, we need to have various functions or various activities. We need to note it down, we need to jot it down, and we need to see that how we can implement them, how we can adopt them, and how we can practice within an organization. So for example, as an example, I have put here down on the left, you can see the material sourcing, and then the design phase, and then the manufacturing, and then of course it can also come to the distribution and sales stage, and then consumption and use, collection and disposal, and remanufacture, recycling, and recovery. I'll go back to now top one, which is a material sourcing. And when we are talking about material sourcing, few important things that comes to us from circular economy point of view, three areas, which could be a good strategy that, we need to bring diversity in the materials, and also we need to have a cross sector linkage. And if we want to practice, there are many industries that we can come closer of similar nature, either from the supply chain point of view or from the point of view of, how our material from production point of view or any part of our production system can be synergized with any other industries. So when we are talking about cross sector linkage, we are talking about essentially not only within our industry, but we can also do more collaborative approach with other partners, either supply chain or even from the other sectors as well. And in such kind of scenario, if we want to really practice, many standards and practices or guidance documents which are available, which can help really us very well. One of them that I think very important is the transparency based system that we can adopt. And there are many risk management tools as well, and then regulation based, which can bring compliance and transparency. And of course we can focus on education as well, which can be converted into as a innovation from the business point of view. Now again, from material sourcing point of view, other strategy could be energy production and energy autonomy. So when we have a energy, when we are having a such kind of energy which we are using it, and it is contributing to CO2 emission and global warming and climate change kind of scenario, we need to think creatively. And fortunately, our region is blessed with solar power or solar energy, and we can use as maximum as possible. It's really abundantly available in our region, and we can see that how renewable energy can help us to further bring our circularity. And when we have such kind of renewable energy system in practice, there are products available in the market, and if we practice to ensure the quality of such products, this will help us in getting either producing energy or even energy autonomy. Then we have a green procurement. Now in supply chain, we can also emphasize that how our supply that is coming, as I mentioned that long back we were talking of locally resourcing, but now becoming of because we have become international in nature in all aspects, we are resourcing from anywhere. So when we are talking about green product, essentially we are talking about, we are looking at the, from supply chain point of view, the material that we are resourcing, that how it can have a minimum impact as far as the environment is concerned. And there are various standards and guidance available again. For example, life cycle analysis based comparison either for goods or even for services. So we can look at from that point of view that how such kind of standards can be practiced. I'll go few more for strategy, then I'll go for next slides because I need to see
Okay.
my time as well.
2 minutes. That's it.
Okay. Then, in fact, we have design for disassembly, recycling that I was mentioned. Then there are again many ways of making our product from the we can adapt it for disassembly and recycling and then reuse and remanufacturing. And I'm sure this information will also be available to our respected members here, and they will also they can come back to me and of course BSI as well. Just this is the last slide. I'll take one or two more minutes. There are many enablers, in fact, the when we are talking about strategy as a circular economy to adopt, as I mentioned that, we need to have basically action items, and we need to understand that to the extent of any industry sector or even for any organization or for any company, we need to see that what is applicable for them. And once they jotted down the various action items, there are many standards across the globe available, and I would like to mention here one of them, that is BS 8001 that came actually in 2017. And it is a framework for implementing principles of circular economy in any organization. It is applicable for any organization. And there are many other standards. I'm sure this information will be available to the respective members and they can see that if they can come back to BSI as well. And this is just one example I wanted to share all the members. One company in Ras Al Khaimah, they are heavily practicing remanufacturing for laptops. And this I picked up from their website. And they do only remanufacturing. They don't do anything else. And based on that remanufacturing, they are claiming economic saving of 15 to 21 pound a million, and CO2 prevented 22,120 tons of carbon reduction, and resource preserved 84,000 tons. This is all on annual basis. And water saved in production 13 trillion liters, and reforestation. So this is the kind of huge benefit that we are getting it. And this is actually in practice in Ras Al Khaimah in UAE. And I want to thank you for giving your time. And if you want to download a free download copy of executive briefing is available at BSI website, which is for BS 8001, that is framework for circular economy. That's all. Thank you very much, ma'am. And if you have any question, any member, respected member has any question, I'll be glad to answer them. Thank you so much.